Isabella ordered my transfer to a branch office in another city. Having him around all the time was getting to be a little much, is what she told people. The disappointment that had been building for so long finally peaked. And just like that, I wanted to let myself go. I accepted the transfer and left without a word. Once I got used to living alone, Isabella started showing up constantly, as if she couldn't get enough. She said she finally understood what it felt like to truly miss someone. From the moment I walked into the office that morning, everyone I ran into said, "Congratulations." When I got to my desk, my mentor and the company's design director, Jen, clapped me on the shoulder with an encouraging look. "Ben, you're going to be on your own from now on. You got this. I believe in you." I was completely lost. "Jen, what are you talking about? Didn't you see the announcement in the company group chat?" Jen looked surprised too. "Was it sent this morning?" I was driving, so I wasn't on my phone, I said, lighting up my screen. I zoomed in on the announcement image, reading the text word for word. I felt like I'd been hit by a stun spell, unable to move. "Ben, are you just finding out about this transfer now? Didn't Isabella discuss it with you before making it official?" Jen's voice snapped me back to reality. I forced a tight, awkward smile. "Oh, she mentioned something about it before, but I was busy and wasn't really paying attention." I found myself making excuses for Isabella, just to hang on to some shred of dignity. The truth was, I had only just found out. All I knew was that the person Isabella had originally chosen for the transfer was another experienced designer in our department. I had no idea why she had suddenly switched it to me. I was a senior designer in the R&D department at corporate headquarters, and I was also Isabella's boyfriend. Without any discussion, without my consent, she just issued a transfer notice, sending me to the branch office in the neighboring city to be their new design director. Sure, it was a promotion and in the long run a rare opportunity for my career, but it completely violated company transfer protocol. Professionally and personally, Isabella owed me an explanation. But I couldn't get a hold of her. Her phone was unreachable all day. Her assistant would just politely brush me off. "Ms. Vance is on a business trip, and she specifically requested her itinerary be kept confidential." "I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, but as her subordinate, I have to follow orders. I can't reach her either, but don't worry, the moment I get in touch with her, I'll let her know you were looking for her." It was the kind of practice dismissal she probably gave to small-time vendors trying to get a meeting with Isabella. I got the message. Isabella was avoiding me. Isabella knew I'd come looking for her after that announcement went out. Maybe she hadn't figured out what to say, or maybe she just couldn't be bothered to deal with me, so she went into hiding. After work, I went home in a daze. Then I got a call from a good friend. He said he'd just seen Isabella at a new club his cousin had opened. "Do me a favor and ask your cousin which room she's in." "Thanks a lot." I hung up and rushed to hail a cab. On the way, my friend texted me the name of Isabella's private room. Standing outside the door, I took a deep breath, gripped the handle, and slowly turned it. I had barely cracked the door open when I heard voices clearly from inside. "Did you really transfer Ben to the Philadelphia office?" That was Chloe, Isabella's best friend since childhood and a minor shareholder in our company. "Yep," Isabella replied nonchalantly. "I mean, you guys have known each other forever. You're really okay with being in different cities?" Isabella paused for a moment, then said flippantly, "Honestly, having him around all the time was getting to be a little much." My left hand tightened on the doorknob. "What if he doesn't agree to go? Aren't you afraid he's going to raise hell? The branch office is desperate for someone. He's not the type to ignore the big picture. Even if he can't find me, he'll be at his new desk on Monday morning." "Right on time," Isabella said, her tone light but certain. A cold smile crept across my face. Was I supposed to be touched that she knew me so well? The director of the Philadelphia branch had been poached by a competitor with a massive offer a while back, leaving a total mess behind. Even if I couldn't reach Isabella in the next few days and never got an explanation, I was, in fact, planning to report to the branch office on Monday. She was right. My sense of responsibility wouldn't let me ignore the chaos in that design department. They couldn't afford to wait. My plan was, if I really couldn't find her, I'd just go over there and hold down the fort. Once they found a suitable replacement, they could transfer me back. Besides me, the one person who just wanted to stay by Isabella's side, any other designer would have jumped at a promotion like this. But hearing her say, it was getting to be a little much, I suddenly felt like I'd lost all the courage I had to keep chasing her. For the past 2 years, I'd sensed Isabella's growing impatience with me, but I'd only felt a little disappointed, telling myself that even the most passionate relationships eventually cool down. It was normal. After all, we'd been together for so long. No one can stay intensely passionate and full of energy forever. But now, without any warning, I was just done. Maybe the disappointment that had been building for so long had finally reached its peak. I suddenly wanted to let myself go. I didn't want to keep making excuses for her. I couldn't lie to myself anymore. I had to face reality. Isabella didn't love me anymore. She was tired of our relationship. In the end, I didn't go into that room. What explanation was there left to hear? I didn't want to humiliate myself. My left hand dropped from the doorknob, and I turned and walked away. The next few days were a blur of activity. I was busy handing off my projects and dealing with all the transfer paperwork. I was busy packing, buying household supplies, and shipping boxes. The Philadelphia office wasn't huge, but it was growing, and this was a real chance to make a mark. I thought I might be there for a long time. Maybe I'd even settle down there for good. I had to think ahead and make sure I had everything I needed. On Sunday, I drove to Philadelphia alone. Monday morning, I reported to the office right on time. Then, I dove headfirst into work, so busy I lost track of day and night. The former director's abrupt departure had left behind a mountain of problems, enough to keep my mind off everything else. By the time I had everything under control, more than a month had passed. It was only then that I realized Isabella and I hadn't spoken in over a month. Before, that would have been unimaginable to me. But now that it had happened, it didn't seem like a big deal. I used to want to be by her side every second of every day. Now, after a month of no contact, my life went on as usual. I felt fine. I hadn't even had a single sleepless night. Even stranger, during that time, I rarely even thought of her. With my work finally sorted out, I could finally breathe. That night, I took my department colleagues out for dinner. One of my team members, whose job required frequent contact with headquarters, shared a piece of news. I heard a new manager got hired in the admin department at corporate, someone with some serious connections. What was his name, right? Ethan Cole. The day he started, Isabella personally showed him around. Ethan Cole. I froze for a second. It had been a long time since I'd heard that name.
No wonder.
I chuckled softly. The answer I'd been missing all this time was suddenly crystal clear. Isabella personally gave him the tour? He must be a big deal. How old is this Ethan guy? Is he handsome? The younger guys in the department started gossiping. Probably around Isabella's age. Sharp, sophisticated, definitely has an air about him. You think he's Isabella's boyfriend? I don't know. But I thought I heard she was in a serious relationship. Really? Hey Ben, you worked at HQ. Have you ever seen Isabella's boyfriend? All eyes turned to me, gleaming with curiosity. I played dumb. Not really sure. Still, I think you and Isabella would make a great couple. You're the perfect match, the same guy blurted out. That picture of you two together is so easy on the eyes. I still have it saved. Someone else was surprised. What? There's a picture of Ben and Isabella together? It's not just the two of them, there are other people, but they're the ones who stand out. I stumbled on it in an article on the company's official blog. They both just looked so good that, as a sucker for pretty faces, I had to save it. With that, he pulled out his phone and showed everyone the photo. They all craned their necks to get a look. It looks like Isabella is leaning toward Ben. They really do look good together, right? I totally used to ship them. I glanced at the photo and immediately remembered when it was taken. It was 3 years ago, right after I joined the company during a new product launch. At the time, I was the one who had asked Isabella to keep our relationship quiet. Office romances are always gossip fodder, especially when your girlfriend is the company president. I didn't want to become the subject of breakroom chatter. Isabella had moped about it for a while, complaining that she couldn't even visit me openly at work or have lunch with me, that it felt like some kind of secret affair. That day at the launch, the media was there taking pictures. The designers from our R&D department were all lined up, and Isabella walked over last. She deliberately didn't stand in the center. Instead, as if by accident, she stood right next to me. Jen tried to pull her to the middle, but she refused. You were the biggest contributor to today's launch. You deserve to be the star in the center. As she said it, she intentionally leaned her body toward me. I kept my head down and tried to discreetly shuffle away. Suddenly, someone grabbed the hand I had behind my back. I froze and looked at her, but she just put on a perfectly serious expression, giving the camera her standard professional smile. No one knew that the great Ms. Vance was holding onto the hand of the man next to her while posing for the cameras. And so, the photo was taken and later published on the company blog. Thinking back on it now, I have to admit I could feel it then. Isabella really did love me once. It's just that time, as quietly as it passes, has a shocking amount of power, can make love fade and disappear. For the next few days, Isabella was constantly updating her social feed. One day she was out horseback riding or rock climbing with friends, the next she was living it up at some club. It seemed she was doing just fine without me around. And in every single one of those pictures, I could see Ethan Cole. Isabella had never been one to share her personal life. Her feed would go for years without an update. I don't know if Ethan's return had changed her, sparked some new desire to express herself, but I wasn't interested anymore. My mind was completely occupied with design plans for the new product. I'd glance at the photos on her feed and then put my phone down. That evening after work, I was still in the office, tweaking a design draft. My phone rang. I stared at the name on the screen, momentarily stunned. It was Isabella, who hadn't contacted me in over a month. The second I answered, her familiar, cool voice came through the receiver, followed by a light laugh. "Babe, are you still mad at me?" I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window in my office, looking out at the city lights, my heart completely calm. "It's been over a month, but you still owe me an explanation for transferring me without any discussion. But I was trying to give you a better opportunity for your career. I knew you wouldn't want to leave me, so if I had talked to you about it, you never would have agreed. So you just decided to ask for forgiveness instead of permission? Isabella, you know as well as I do that this completely violates company HR policy. Anyone else might have just quit on the spot. You were just banking on my conscience and sense of responsibility. Then I was wrong, but I really was doing it for your own good. I've seen what you've accomplished at the company over the years. You have the talent and the ability to lead on your own. You've been at headquarters for 3 years, you have enough experience. All you were missing was a stage where you could really shine. The design department at the branch office, that was my gift to you, a launchpad to bigger things." She was so eloquent. If I hadn't personally heard her say, having him around all the time was getting to be a little much, I might have actually believed her. I might have even been moved by her supposed good intentions and blamed myself for being difficult. "Was it because of Ethan?" I asked, cutting straight to the point. "As soon as he came back, you shipped me off." What? What does Ethan have to do with this?" Everything I said was... She was cut off by a man's voice in the background. "Isabella, can I catch a ride with you later?" Even after all these years, and through the phone, I recognized Ethan's voice. "Are you two going out to dinner?" I asked. "Yes." I hung up the phone. After a moment's thought, I sent her a text. "Let's break up." When I got home and showered, I picked up my phone to find dozens of missed calls. All from Isabella. As I stared at the screen, it rang again. "Ben, what do you mean?" I made myself perfectly clear. "We're breaking up. Transferring you without your consent was my fault, and I apologize. But I really did it for you. You can ask your dad or your sister. Being the design director at the branch office is a great opportunity. Isn't it? For my good, or for your own?" I scoffed. "Why would you say that?" That night at the club, I was outside the door. "I heard what you said." I repeated her words slowly. Having him around all the time was getting to be a little much. "Ben, listen to me. I'd had a bit to drink that day, and I was just running my mouth. That's not how I really feel. In vino veritas, isn't that what they say? It's not like that. It's not just about what you said. I said calmly. For the past 2 years, I've felt the change in how you treat me. Isabella, just admit it. You got tired of me. You were sick of having me around. I left just like you wanted. Shouldn't you be happy? There was a long silence on the other end. I don't agree to this breakup. You're just being impulsive right now. I'll give you some time. Let's both cool off. Ben, I'll call you in a little while. Whatever. A breakup isn't a divorce. I didn't need her permission. For days, Isabella's social feed was filled with pictures of her getting blackout drunk. I quietly muted her. Out of sight, out of mind. Things were busy at work. Besides the new product designs, the department had also hired 3 new people. Among the existing designers, only 2 were senior enough to mentor anyone, so I assigned one to each of them. That left 1 newcomer for me to train myself. I sighed. The team was still short-staffed. We needed more experienced designers. Fortunately, the girl I was mentoring, Lily, was smart and hardworking. A real promising talent. It's just that she was a little too worldly wise. From the day she started calling me boss, she began bringing me a hand-ground coffee from the shop downstairs every single morning. One time, during lunch, my office door was open. She walked by, saw me eating a piece of bread, and looked shocked. Boss, you're just having bread for lunch? I'm on a tight deadline with a report and didn't have time to go out or order anything, I said, pointing at my screen. The branch office wasn't as big as headquarters. We didn't have an in-house cafeteria. Sometimes when I worked late to meet a deadline, I'd forget to eat until I was starving. So I bought a big box of bread to keep in my office for those times, just to have something to tide me over. Boss, wait right here, Lily said, and then hurried off. 10 minutes later, she returned with an elegantly packaged meal. This was the only place without a line. I was afraid you were starving, so I just grabbed this to go. I don't know if it's to your taste, but it's better than nothing. I looked at the logo on the container and was speechless for a moment. You know why there's no line? Because it's expensive. Is it? Her disbelief was genuine. Thinking about her usual designer clothes and the sports car she drove to work, I understood. She was clearly a trust fund kid. From that day on, Lily ordered an extra lunch for me every day. She refused to accept any money I tried to send her. I know you're not short on cash, but you can't be this wasteful. Your family's money didn't just grow on trees, your parents worked hard for it, right? She just grinned. My dad says back in his day, an apprentice had to kowtow to their master and bring gifts on holidays. You're my mentor, so it's only right that I show my appreciation. What's buying you lunch every day? My dad thinks I'm being cheap. He wants me to pick out a real gift for you. Don't you dare, or I'm dropping you as my apprentice, I threatened. Okay, fine, she said, looking genuinely hurt. Every day after work, as long as I was still there, Lily wouldn't leave either. I have a lot to do, so I often work late. Once you're done with your tasks, you should just go home. We don't do that whole employees can't leave until the boss leaves thing here. No way. I need to learn as much as I can. I heard they're only keeping 2 of the 3 new hires, and I don't want to be the one who doesn't make it past probation, she argued. After getting to know Lily, I learned that her family owned the largest supermarket chain in the area. They also had interests in real estate, restaurants, and other industries. The lunch she ordered for me every day came from one of her family's own restaurants. Not wanting to be indebted to her, I started taking her out for a meal whenever we worked late together. One day, my car was in the shop for maintenance. After we finished dinner, Lily insisted on driving me home. I thanked her downstairs and turned to walk toward my apartment building. Just as I reached the main entrance and was about to scan my key card, an elegant woman stepped out from the shadows. I jumped, nearly crying out in surprise. Ben, it's me. Isabella's face emerged from the darkness. What are you doing here? Wait, how do you know where I live? I was still trying to catch my breath. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. She bit her lip. I asked a colleague here where you lived. I was hoping to surprise you. I thought for a moment. We've already broken up. Your visit isn't a surprise. It's a shock. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around me tightly. Her familiar, warm scent filled my senses. Who was that just now? She asked, her voice a little cold. Oh, a new hire in the department. I'm training her, I said, gently pushing her away. You're the director. You have to train new people yourself? I have to. We're short-staffed. Then how about I transfer a few more experienced designers over to help you? Don't be ridiculous. I heard from Jen that headquarters is short on designers too. She didn't say anything for a long moment. After a while, Isabella finally spoke. It's been so long since I held you. You're still the same. Just one hug from you is enough to put my mind at ease. Feels so good. The house feels so cold and empty without you. I don't even want to go home anymore. I post on social media every day, acting miserable, getting so drunk I end up in the hospital, and you don't even feel a little bit sorry for me. Without you here, nothing is interesting anymore. Even my favorite sports can't save me. Can we stop fighting? I was wrong. I don't want to break up with you. I had never heard her speak in such a vulnerable tone, full of regret and a hint of pleading. The Isabella the first knew was always proud, always vibrant. Isabella, I felt it too, I said, looking into her dark eyes in the night. There was a time when you wanted to leave me. You stopped loving me. She panicked. No, that's not it. It was just a fleeting, mistaken feeling. I thought, her voice trailed off. I thought I was tired of it. We've been together for so long that I almost forgot we were even dating. It was true. We were childhood sweethearts and we grew up next door to each other. Before we could even walk, our parents put us on the same playmat to learn to crawl. From kindergarten through elementary, middle, high school, and college, we were always at the same school. We even went to the same graduate school together. All these years, we had never been apart. I had a moment of clarity. My entire life, up to this point, had been intertwined with Isabella's. Even people who live with their own parents their whole lives have friction, let alone a couple with no binding ties. So, after coming to terms with it myself, I understood what Isabella meant by being tired. You can't control feelings. I couldn't force her to love me forever, to never change. I couldn't even guarantee that for myself, so how could I demand it of someone else? You said it yourself. We were just together for too long. Now that we've just separated, you're not used to it. You'll get used to it eventually. That's not it. I know my own heart. Let's just leave it at that. Don't come looking for me again. I opened the main door and walked through, shutting it behind me, leaving her outside.
Ben.
Her voice called out from behind me. I miss you. I really, really miss you. I didn't slow down. I just kept walking straight ahead. It seemed like Isabella suddenly had a lot more free time. Every few days, she would drive down to the city. The official reason was always to inspect the branch office's work. Whenever she came, the company would hold a meeting where all the department heads would report to her. Once, after a meeting, everyone was leaving, but she remained seated in the conference room. Director Carter. She called out to me as I was the last one about to leave. Could you please get me a cup of coffee? She rubbed her temples as she spoke, looking exhausted, her voice hoarse. Sure, I replied. When I came back from the break room with the coffee and reached the conference room door, I stopped. Isabella was leaning back in her chair, her eyes closed, breathing deeply. She had fallen asleep. I quietly pushed the door open and placed the coffee on the table. Just as I was about to slip out, I heard a voice from behind me. Thank you. I turned around. You look exhausted. Haven't you been sleeping well? She gave a small smile. Are you worried about me? Yeah, I pulled an all-nighter yesterday for the new deal in the Middle East. Then I drove over 2 hours this morning to get here for the meeting. I thought for a moment, then said sincerely, honestly, the branch has a general manager here. You don't need to be so hands-on. A preliminary bid discussion like today's, you really didn't need to come in person. Why work yourself so hard? It's worth it. Just to see you for a moment, she said softly. I was at a loss for words. Well, you don't look so good right now. Maybe you should go back to your hotel and get some rest? I asked. She shook her head. No time. I have to get back to the city now for a 9 p.m. flight. I'm going to the Middle East on business for about 10 days. The thought of not seeing you for that long is why I rushed over today. Just one look at you will be enough to get me through the next 10 days. I sighed. What was the point? 2 weeks later, Isabella was back. Her plane landed in the city, and without even going home, She drove straight from the airport to Philadelphia. She arrived at the office, looking travel-worn, right at lunchtime. Lily and I were eating on the company's rooftop terrace. Our cheerful conversation was cut short by her sudden appearance. "Ms. Vance," Lily said, immediately standing up. She looked from Isabella to me. "I'll just get going. You two talk." The girl took off so fast she forgot her lunch, which she'd barely touched. Isabella sat down across from me, silent for a long moment. "Have you eaten?" I asked, breaking the awkward silence. Even if we were broken up, she was still my boss. I had to show some basic respect. She stared at the two identical lunch boxes on the table, and the identical meals inside, her expression unreadable. "Did you two order lunch together?" She finally spoke, her tone flat. I smiled. One time, Lily saw me eating bread in my office and insisted on ordering lunch for me. "It's from her family's restaurant. Tastes pretty good." I tried to refuse, but she insists on ordering 2 every day, and it's a waste to throw it out. She won't take my money, so I just treat her to dinner after we work late to pay her back. "You take her out to eat?" Isabella's tone was sharp. "She treats me, so I treat her back. It's normal. Treating each other back and forth. Doesn't that just mean you're spending more time together? What are you thinking?" I shot her a look. "She's my apprentice, 5 years younger than me. In my eyes, she's just a kid sister. Maybe to you, but the way she looks at you is not like a kid sister," Isabella said through gritted teeth. "Takes a woman to know a woman. You're overthinking it. Fine, let's not talk about her. I brought you a gift." She handed me a bag. It's a limited edition watch. Apparently, it was part of a Middle Eastern royals collection, quite historic. "Isabella, we're not together anymore," I said, standing up. "I can't accept such an expensive gift." I ignored the way the light in her eyes dimmed. I packed up the lunch boxes from the table and walked away. The next day, the company sent out an announcement. In recognition of the branch employees' hard work and performance, the president had decided to improve employee benefits by adding a cafeteria to the office. The cafeteria would offer a wide variety of food at a much cheaper price than outside restaurants. My colleagues were ecstatic. All morning, everyone was talking about it, praising Isabella as the most brilliant and considerate leader. I thought of the identical lunch boxes with Lily and Isabella's unhappy expression. Then I immediately shook my head. No way. Adding a cafeteria to the branch office was no small expense. Isabella was a shrewd capitalist. She wouldn't approve such a large expenditure for the company just because of me. She wasn't that sentimental. Just as I was thinking this, my phone rang. It was Isabella. The Philadelphia office's performance saw a huge jump last year, so headquarters was already discussing improving employee benefits. I proposed building a cafeteria, and it was approved unanimously. She started explaining before I could even say a word. "This way, that girl won't have an excuse to order you lunch anymore, and you won't have to take her out to dinner to pay her back. It's a win-win." Her voice was full of smug satisfaction. How had I never noticed this childish side of her before? On Saturday morning, I was at home, sleeping in. A call from Isabella woke me up. "Are you home today?" "Yeah, what's up?" "Nothing, just asking." She hung up. I tried to go back to sleep, but I couldn't. So I got up, went to the grocery store, bought some food, and came back to make myself lunch. Just as I finished cooking, my friend Mark called. "Guess where I am?" he said mysteriously. "Where?" I asked casually. "Open your door." Confused, I walked to the door and opened it to find a huge bouquet of sunflowers blocking the entrance. "Surprise." Mark's face popped out from behind the flowers. "What are you doing here?" I said, delighted. He held up a cake box in his other hand and wiggled it. "Happy birthday." I had completely forgotten it was my birthday. "Come on in. I just finished making lunch. You can eat with me," I said, pulling him inside. "You can cook?" "I always pictured you as the type who couldn't even boil water," he said, looking curious. "In that case, I have to try your food." While we were eating, my parents video called. They said they figured I'd be sleeping in since it was the weekend, so they didn't want to bother me earlier. My parents and my sister all wished me a happy birthday. My parents' gift was generous. a direct deposit. My sister's was even more extravagant. She said she'd bought me a condo in Philadelphia as a birthday present, in the complex right next to my office. Mark said he was so jealous he couldn't stand it, and that the only way to soothe his wounded soul was for me to spend the day with him. I laughed and agreed. Since moving to Philly, I'd been so busy with work I hadn't had time to explore. This was the perfect opportunity to get to know the city. I drove Mark straight to the most famous local tourist spot. After an exciting half-day of sightseeing, I reached for my phone to take a picture and found my pocket empty. My phone was gone. I remembered checking the time on my phone right when we got to the entrance of the attraction. So it couldn't have been left in the car. Either you dropped it or it got stolen, Mark concluded. Either way, the chances of getting it back are slim to none. I nodded helplessly, resigned to my bad luck. I'll buy a new one in town tonight. At least my family already called this afternoon, so they probably won't call again, I said. We spent the afternoon visiting several more spots. As we were about to get dinner, Mark got a call and said something came up at home and he had to leave. I dropped him off at the train station and then headed to a phone store. It was already evening. I bought a new phone but would have to wait until tomorrow to get a new SIM card. On the drive home, it suddenly started pouring rain. The place I was renting was a small complex with no parking garage. I drove around for a while before I finally found a spot. After I parked, I grabbed my umbrella and ran for my building. As I reached my front door, I saw Isabella, soaked to the bone, leaning against the wall. When she saw me, she rushed over, about to wrap her arms around me. But then she looked down at her dripping clothes and hesitated. "Ben, where were you? Couldn't reach you. I was going crazy. I was about to call the police. Didn't you tell me you were staying home today?" Looking at her miserable state, I sighed and opened the door. "You should go take a shower." I found a set of my own loose-fitting sweats and gave them to her. I could hear the shower running from the bathroom. I sat down on the sofa and started setting up my new phone. The bathroom door opened, and Isabella emerged wearing my clothes. The sweats, which were baggy on me, looked comically oversized on her. She sat down next to me, drying her hair with a towel. "What happened? Why was your phone off?" "I was out this afternoon, and I lost my phone. Just bought a new one, but I haven't put a card in it yet," I said, holding up the new device. Isabella breathed a sigh of relief. "Promise me you'll never let me be unable to find you again. Do you have any idea how scared I was when I couldn't get through to you? I couldn't help but imagine the worst. You know how that feels now, huh?" I said with a sarcastic smile. "What do you mean?" "The day headquarters sent out my transfer notice, I couldn't reach you. Every time I called your phone, it was busy. For 5 straight days, you hid from me, ignoring my calls and texts. Do you have any idea how hopeless I felt then?" Isabella stopped drying her hair, a look of shock on her face. As if it was finally sinking in, she guiltily avoided my gaze. After a long pause, she spoke, her voice full of remorse. "I'm sorry. It will never happen again. I promise anytime you call, I'll pick up immediately." Then her tone turned mournful. "You haven't called me yourself in so long. You don't have to promise anything. We've already broken up, remember?" I reminded her. She lowered her eyes. "Ben, I waited outside for you for 5 hours. I wanted to give you a birthday surprise." Playing the victim, changing the subject. I sighed in frustration. "When it started raining, why didn't you find somewhere to take cover? You could have waited in your car." "I didn't want to sit in the car. I didn't want to leave in case I missed you when you came back. I was only in the rain for a little while. When someone opened the main door, I just followed them in. But the sunflowers I bought you were ruined, and the cake is inedible now. Luckily, the gift I got for you is still intact." With that, she pulled out a set of keys. "I bought a place at the Haven. You should move in. This complex isn't great, and it's not very secure. Get your documents ready, and we'll go handle the title transfer next week." The Haven? What a coincidence. I shook my head. "No thanks. My sister already bought me a condo in that same complex." She looked annoyed. A step too late again. The rain didn't stop that night, so Isabella couldn't leave. She slept on the sofa. The next morning, when I got up, She was already in the kitchen, busy making breakfast. "You're up? Go brush your teeth." "I'm almost done here," she said as she served up a bowl of noodles. It was the first time I'd ever seen her make breakfast. Surprisingly, it was pretty good. The scallion oil noodles were delicious. I ate a whole bowl. She looked very proud of herself. "Not bad, right? If you like it, I can make it for you again sometime." After we ate, she cleared the dishes. Just as she finished washing up, her phone rang. "Ethan? Yeah, I didn't come back last night. I'm in Philly." "Mr. Zhang? Today? Can you explain to him for me? I'll treat him to dinner when I get back tomorrow." My voice? "Oh, it's nothing. Probably just a little cold. The rain has stopped. You can go back now," I said, watching her reply to messages. She put her phone away, her tone wounded. "Are you kicking me out? I just don't want Ethan to get the wrong idea." "The wrong idea about what?" She stopped. "You don't think there's something going on between me and Ethan, do you? Isn't he the one that got away? The reason you transferred me? You spent the night here, aren't you worried he'll take it the wrong way?" Isabella stared at me blankly. "What one that got away? What are you talking about? I don't understand. Transferring you was a huge mistake. I was out of my mind. When I made that decision, I had no idea he was coming back." "Stop pretending. You had a crush on him in college." "No, why would you think that?" Isabella put down her phone, looking like she was settling in for a long talk. "Tell me, what did I do to give you that idea?" I thought back seriously, and it seemed she had never explicitly expressed any feelings for Ethan. But I was her boyfriend at the time. If she had actually said she liked someone else, she would have been a cheater. She may not have said it, but her actions spoke for themselves. I gathered my thoughts and listed them out. "One day, I saw you waiting in line for butterfly pastries at the shop behind campus. I thought you were buying them for me and was secretly happy about it. But I never got any pastries that day. Instead, I saw them on Ethan's social feed. He said someone who liked him bought them for him. To this day, I can still remember his post. Craving butterfly pastries, and she waits in line for 2 hours to buy them for me. It's nice to be liked." Back then, that bakery was doing some kind of limited supply thing, and their pastries were so good that the line was always incredibly long. And Ethan and Isabella were both on the student council, so they saw each other a lot. I remember confronting Isabella about it, asking her why she bought pastries for someone else. She denied it completely, saying I must have seen things, that she was never in that line. Isabella frowned, trying to recall. "I remember now." She shot upright. "I made a bet with Chloe and lost, so I had to do one thing for her. She made me go wait in line to buy her butterfly pastries. She had a crush on Ethan, so she gave them to him." "You did it for Chloe? Then why did you deny it when I asked you?" "Because I lost the bet. I was embarrassed," she said with an awkward laugh. "I was young and had a big ego. You were my boyfriend, how could I let you know I wasn't as good as someone else? But that was the only time I lost. I won every time after that. So, this whole misunderstanding was because of some stupid female rivalry? Wait, Chloe had a crush on Ethan? How did I not know that?" Chloe was Isabella's childhood friend. They grew up together and went to the same university as us. We were all pretty close. She didn't just have a crush. She was a total simp for him. Whatever he said, she did, Isabella sneered. Right when Chloe started chasing him, she gave him a designer watch. Ethan took the watch but told her he wasn't looking to date, that he wanted to focus on his studies. He also said he didn't like being the center of attention and didn't want to become gossip because someone was pursuing him. And that idiot Chloe took his words as gospel. She even made us all promise not to tell anyone. Chasing a guy in secret, giving him gifts here and there. He took everything she offered but never said yes. Ethan said he wouldn't date during school, so she thought she could win him over after graduation. Turns out, he left the country before he even graduated. I found out later that Chloe even sent him a lot of money while he was abroad. He wrote the book on being whipped. It suddenly dawned on me. I get it now. Chloe liked Ethan, but Ethan liked you. Isabella looked shocked, her voice rising. How is that possible? Back then, I had more than one reason to think you liked him. For a while, you changed your phone wallpaper. One time, I happened to see Ethan's phone screen and noticed you two had matching couples wallpapers. You mean that goofy anime wallpaper? Didn't I explain that to you? It was a prank by Chloe. She secretly changed the wallpapers on everyone's phone in our dorm, all to these ridiculous, dumb pictures. I never change my wallpaper. I'm too lazy, so I just left it. And later, when you asked me to change it, I changed it to what you wanted, didn't I? I nodded. So it was Chloe again. But is it possible Ethan told her to do it? After you changed your wallpaper, Ethan changed his to the matching one and then deliberately checked his phone in front of me to make me misunderstand. Isabella froze. I continued my analysis. And back then, after he posted about the pastries, I confronted you. You denied buying them and said you never saw his post. I checked my phone again and the post was gone. I just assumed he deleted it. So, did you really not see it? Or did you see it and deny it out of guilt? I really didn't see it, she said firmly. I remember you didn't post much, but you were always scrolling. If you didn't see it, that can only mean one thing. Ethan set the post so that only I could see it. Your analysis actually makes a lot of sense, Isabella said, nodding slowly. So, what's the deal with Ethan working at the company now? Is that related to Chloe too? It really was Chloe who recommended him. I swear. You know Chloe has some shares in the company, and she's my best friend. When she asked me to give Ethan a position, I had to do her that favor. Then her eyes widened in realization. Lately, I have been seeing Ethan a lot. It's always Chloe who invites me out, and he just happens to be there. But he always tries to talk to me, and a few times I got really annoyed, and he just stares at me. I get it now. He knew you transferred me. He probably found out from Chloe that you told me we were breaking up. He's trying to make his move. Ben, you have to believe me. I wasn't tempted by him at all. I've never even been alone with him. My voice was flat. Whether I believe you or not doesn't really matter. We broke up, right? Here we go again. Go home. If you don't leave, I'm going to a hotel. Monday morning, as soon as I got to the office, I got a text from Isabella. I've already fired Ethan. I won't give him any chance to get close to me. I also chewed out Chloe for being an idiot and dragging me into her mess. Ben, I'm not interested in any other man. I put my phone down and got back to work. I didn't reply to Isabella, but that didn't dampen her enthusiasm in the slightest. She texted me every day, sending a little joke here and there, or even a picture of a weird-looking cloud she saw. At night, like she was giving a daily report, she'd list everything she did, ate, and where she went. And she always ended with home before 10 p.m. Today. Another day of early to bed, early to rise. Seeing those messages, I just felt a sense of helplessness. There was a time when I tried everything to get Isabella to go to bed early and wake up early. She used to stay up late drinking all the time and had even been hospitalized for liver and stomach problems. The doctor told her she needed to take care of her health. But she completely ignored my advice. I pleaded with her, but she wouldn't listen. Eventually, I got angry and just ordered her. You have to be home before 10 p.m. every night. To this day, I can still remember the half-amused look in her eyes when she heard me say that. It was as if she was mocking my arrogance. Who do you think you are? What gives you the right to tell me what to do? She didn't say the words, but I got the message. Back then, my love for her hadn't faded yet. Seeing that look, my first reaction was pain. Then, my immediate instinct was to not make her unhappy, so I never dared to use that commanding tone with her again. She continued to do as she pleased, staying up late every night, partying at clubs with her friends until the early hours. She was free, going wherever she wanted without having to report to anyone. Over the past 2 years, she had gradually stopped caring about what I said, stopped caring about my feelings. I had only ever been in a relationship with her, so I didn't know how other couples acted. When I first noticed her attitude toward me turning cold, I was terrified. I was scared she didn't love me anymore. But after being ignored, given the cold shoulder, and even subjected to the silent treatment day after day, my love for her slowly began to diminish without me even realizing it. Until there was nothing left. I didn't love her anymore. I decided to break up. Now that I had left her, she suddenly remembered the things I used to say. and she started following my advice, going to bed early and waking up early every day. A heart that's been hurt can't heal. This belated devotion did nothing to move me. On Friday night, I was working late again. I wanted to get everything done so I could spend the weekend back in the city and see my parents. By the time I finished, it was almost 9. I shut down my computer and turned off the lights. When I walked out to the main office area, Lily was just finishing up too. She stood up. "Boss, let's go together." I don't know if it was because of all the overtime lately, but my head felt fuzzy. As I was walking down the steps outside the company building, I slipped on a small piece of watermelon rind, and the world started spinning. Luckily, Lily grabbed me just in time, saving me from tumbling down the stairs. But I couldn't avoid injuring my ankle. A sharp pain shot through it. Lily took me to the hospital. The doctor said it was a minor fracture and that I needed a cast. My plans to go home were ruined. I didn't want my parents to worry, so I didn't tell them the truth, just made up an excuse about having something to do this weekend. With a cast and crutches, getting around was difficult. Lily insisted on coming over to take care of me. After her relentless persistence, I reluctantly agreed to let her bring me 3 meals a day. But every time she dropped off food, she would linger at my apartment, dawdling for ages before finally leaving. On Sunday afternoon, after bringing me lunch, Lily started her usual routine. "Oh boss, the living room floor looks a little dirty. Let me just mop it for you before I go. This robot vacuum is so dumb, it's no match for a person." Then she took the mop and spent nearly half an hour going over the same small patch of floor again and again. Only after I repeatedly urged her to leave did she reluctantly put down the mop and walk toward the door, looking back every few steps. "Lily," I called out to her. "I just got out of a relationship, and I have no plans to start a new one right now. Besides, you're 5 years younger than me." As an adult, it was obvious what Lily's intentions were with all her attentiveness. I decided to be direct. "Don't waste your time on me." Lily was silent for a few seconds. "Your ex-girlfriend is Ms. Vance, right? How did you know? I've never seen a president visit a branch office so often. Plus, the way she looks at you is so obvious. I bet everyone else in the design department has figured it out too." "I'm not getting back together with her," I said. Before she could get her hopes up, I added, "But I'm not going to get with you either. Right now, I just want to focus on my career." Lily pouted. "You can reject me all you want, but I'm going to keep trying. Don't tell me what to do." She turned to leave in a huff. Just as she took a couple of steps, the doorbell rang. Lily opened the door to find Isabella standing on the other side. Isabella gritted her teeth. "What are you doing here?" Lily said smugly, "I'm here to take care of my boss." "Take care of Ben? My boss fractured his ankle." "Oh my God. Don't tell me he hasn't even told you he's hurt?" Isabella's face turned pale. She squeezed past Lily and strode over to me. "Ben, how did you get hurt so badly? What happened? What did the doctor say? Do you need to be hospitalized?" I looked toward the door. "Lily, you can go home now." Lily saw the look I gave her and reluctantly headed out. As she closed the door, she called back, "Boss, I'll bring you dinner tonight." After the door closed, Isabella suddenly knelt beside me, looking at my injured ankle. After a long moment, she looked up, her eyes filled with sorrow. "Ben, this hurts me so much. You got hurt and you didn't tell me. Before, you would have called me right away about anything. You're treating me like a stranger." As she spoke, her voice cracked. "It's my fault. I deserve this. I was such a jerk these past 2 years. I completely broke your heart. Now, I constantly think about the things I did. How I'd ignore you, answer your calls only when I felt like it, and pretend I never saw your texts. It wasn't until you started treating me the same way that I finally understood how much pain and sadness you must have felt. I'm such an idiot. How could I have ever treated you like that? When I promised, long ago, that I would do everything in my power to make you happy for the rest of your life." I sighed. "It's all in the past. None of it matters anymore." Isabella looked pained and buried her face in the sofa cushions. "I ruined everything. I could have been so happy. Ben, I took you for granted. My life has always been too easy. We were together for so long. and you were always so good to me that I lost my head and forgot how important you were. I thought I was tired of you, that I wanted to leave you and breathe some free air. We'd never been apart our whole lives, and for a moment, I got confused and thought I'd lost my freedom. It wasn't until you left that I realized how much I can't live without you. Without you, every day is dull and long. It feels like I've lost interest in everything. I have no energy. I just wander around in a fog. Even landing that huge multi-million-dollar deal in the Middle East, something that should have been thrilling, felt completely meaningless without you there to share it with. I think about you during the day and can't concentrate. I think about you at night and can't sleep. Night after night, I'm consumed by regret. Arrogantly transferring you away was the biggest mistake I've ever made. Without you here, I'm going crazy wanting to see you. And now you're hurt, and another woman is the one taking you to the hospital and staying by your side. Do you have any idea how jealous I am of her? Now, I don't even want to go back to the city. I'm afraid that if I leave, that Lily girl will take advantage of the situation. She's taking care of you when you're vulnerable. What if you start to have feelings for her? You're so amazing. Besides Lily, I'm sure there are other women pursuing you. How could I have been so foolish as to transfer you to another city all by yourself? If you were by my side, no other woman would be a threat. I chased them all away. But now we're in different cities, and I worry every single moment that some other woman is trying to win you over. I really brought this all on myself. Ben. Isabella suddenly looked up, her voice pleading. Can we get back together? Please give me another chance. I don't want to be tormented like this anymore. I thought for a long time, then spoke sincerely. Love is a strange thing. You can't control it. If I still loved you the way I used to, I would never have left your side, no matter how you treated me. But you know, Isabella, I don't love you anymore. Do you understand that feeling? It means you can't affect my emotions anymore. I don't think about you for no reason. If you're hurt, I don't worry. If you're tired, I don't feel sorry for you. To me, you've become just like a regular friend. So, I can't force myself to be with a regular friend that I don't love. Tears welled up in Isabella's eyes. Please stop. I feel like I'm being tortured, inch by inch. You don't love me anymore. Who would have thought this day would come? The only reason I dared to hurt you so recklessly before was because I was so sure you loved me, so certain you could never leave me, that you would never let go. Now it's my turn to pay. Ben, it makes sense that you don't want to get back with me if you don't love me anymore. All I ask is, please don't fall in love with someone else so quickly. I'm going to do everything I can to make you fall in love with me again. I gave a weak smile. I think I might have lost the ability to love anyone. I have no intention of getting into a serious relationship with another woman right now. I just want to focus on my work. That's good, Isabella said, relieved. That means I still have a chance. A year later, I quit my job. Why? Isabella asked me. Didn't you say it yourself? The Philadelphia office was my launch pad. So, I'm using it to launch myself to bigger and better things. I've always planned to open my own design studio. I don't want to work for you forever. Isn't it better to have my own business? Besides, my family is very supportive of me going out on my own. My sister even gave me some startup capital. I'm not blaming you for starting your own business. Ben, you know I support you in whatever you do. I'm just a little hurt that you never talked to me about your plans for the future. There was no need to, I said bluntly. Isabella seemed to have gotten used to my way of speaking and didn't get angry. Your sister gave you startup money, so let me give you some too. Starting a business is tough, especially at the beginning. You burn through cash quickly. I don't need it, I replied coldly. She hesitated. The same day you left the company, Lily also quit. Is she going to help you with your business? No, I said, shaking my head. She had offered, but I turned her down. I explained she's a real heiress. Her family has plenty of money. She was working to chase her own dreams for a few years while she was young. Her family wasn't going to let her stay out here forever. She has to go back and take over the family business eventually. Isabella breathed a sigh of relief. As long as she's not coming to work with you. On the day my studio opened, many friends sent flower arrangements. 2 of them stood out. One was filled with pink roses, the other with red roses. My new assistant asked me, "Mr. Carter, these two arrangements look very expensive. Should we put them somewhere special?" "No, just log them and put them with the others." A few friends came in person to congratulate me. They were also potential future clients. I smiled and walked over to greet them. The sun was shining down, and I felt nothing but brightness inside.